Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Lady Keish Uncut. So today's video is going to be talking about me being locked up for a total of 156 days of my life. Oh Lord, this is a hard topic to talk about. It really is, because I really went through some dark moments being locked up for that long. Now, it wasn't fully locked up. It was chronologically locked up like that. I was locked up 4 or 5 different times. I can't remember. But the first time I was locked up in Winnebago. Winnebago is a little town in Oshkosh, 2 hours from Kenosha. So the first time I ever was locked up was 7 days long. Now, that 7 days was in Winnebago. In my previous video, we talked about when I was at Walmart and I had my manic episode, which caused me to be locked up that time. So I was locked up for 7 days. I was put on medication. And I had to do what I had to do, or I got locked up again. So the first time for the 7 days, it was pretty rough. It was pretty hard, very hard. But what I noticed about myself is that it gave me so much more resilience. It made me way more resilient. And it made me really appreciate my freedom in that first 7 days. That first 7 days, all I did was pretty much color pictures. You couldn't really do much. You were really locked down. It was locked down so much that it was ridiculous. So the first time was the 7 days. The second time was 14 days. And that 14 days, I spent another time in Winnebago. Now, what happened with that is I had another manic episode because I was not taking my meds correctly. And I was self-medicating, smoking marijuana. So that was the second time. And it was a very hard 14 days for me. I did not want to be back there. I was so embarrassed coming back. I was so embarrassed. But I got into smoking weed. I had another manic episode. I kind of was drinking a little bit too with it, and it was messing with my mental health, because you're not supposed to be taking psych meds and smoking weed and drinking. It doesn't mix. So that's what happened for the 14 days. Is basically I had another manic episode and they locked me up again. The third time, it was also Winnebago. But this time they said, you know what, Markeisha, we're not playing around. You're not taking well to the treatment plan. You're not taking your medicine. So they kept me for 30 days. They kept me for 30 days. Now, basically, for that 30 days, I went through so much. I went through so much of embarrassment. I went through panic attacks. I went through being in a very sunken, dark place. You know, my mental health was on the line, and that I was of course medicated. And this time they actually put me on a shot called Invega Sustenna. They didn't do that the first and second time, but they say, you know, we want to try something different, because obviously the Latuda is not working like it's supposed to be working, because she's not either taking it correctly or she's taking it with alcohol and marijuana. So that messes with psych meds, if you didn't know that, you know. But the 30 days that I was there, you have to get out of bed. You have to eat. You have to shower. You have to participate in group. If you don't do those things and you don't portray being normal, they will keep you for as long as they feel like you need to be there. They don't want to keep you there. They honestly do not want to keep you in a mental hospital. They want you to be out and about and in the community, because they have other people who need to be there, probably more bad, more worse than you. So they don't want to keep you there for a long time. But me, they had to, because they're like, okay, this is this girl's 3rd time being here. She needs to be here, because she's not doing what she's supposed to do in the community. So they had to keep me. So they kept me for 30 days. When I tell you that I never felt more close to the Lord in my life. Now, I've been a Christian all my life. I've been raised, I'm Pentecostal apostolic, you know, through the bone. And I messed up. I was drinking. I was smoking, I was partying, I was not taking my meds correctly. I was doing everything that I was big and bad enough to do. And they say, you know what? We're going to keep her. We're going to keep her for 30 days. So finally I asked the Lord, I'm like, Lord, please get me out of here. Please, I'm begging you, Jesus. Just please get me out of here. I don't want to be in here no more. I don't want to be around these people. I don't want to keep answering all these questions. If you give me another chance and get me out of here, I promise that I'll do right. So he got me out of there. Almost like instantaneously after that prayer. I made vows to the Lord. And I told him that I was going to do good. And I did for a while. I did. I kept my promise to a certain extent, which almost means that I didn't keep my promise. So we'll say I didn't keep the promise. So after the 30 days of being locked up, I started really cracking down on myself. You know what? I stopped smoking weed. I stopped drinking. I stopped hanging around certain people. I protected all of this. I started protecting my mental health. In that other video we talked about, my first video, we talked about mental health awareness. After that 30 days, I became really, really aware of my mental health. The first 2 times, I didn't take it as serious as I needed to because I didn't think that I had a problem. And I put quotes on that because it's so crazy, because in the Black community, mental health is something that is almost like frowned upon. They call you crazy. They call you stupid. They say you don't know what you're talking about. They call you everything in a book when you say that you have a problem. And therapy is frowned upon. I'm not going to therapy. I'm not crazy. That's what I've been told, you know. But here's the thing. I am a living testimony that therapy, medication, and the right crowd works. It works. It really, really works. When you surround yourself with people who love you and people who want to see you do good, it helps. It really, really helps. It gives you strength. It gives you power over your mind. Once you can control this, you can control all of this. It starts here. So, like I said, back to that promise. I kept that promise to a certain extent. Then, when I got in trouble, I'm backtracking a little bit, guys. Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. So, the 14 days that I went to Winnebago, I actually committed a crime. I committed a crime. That crime I'm going to talk more about in another video, but basically, I got hooked up with the wrong person. I'm not going to say this person's name, of course, but I got hooked up with the wrong person and I got into some trouble. Now that trouble, long after a while, it got me to being sued. So I was sued for something that I didn't do. And I promise, I put my right hand up to God, I did not do what this person said that I did. But what she did was, she told the judge certain things about me, and she turned his heart against me, speaking against me. And it makes me emotional. It makes me so emotional. I'm sorry, guys. But she turned the judge's heart against me. She was a woman, and she had certain things that she said against me. And it made the judge kind of look at me like, Even though what she said was outrageous, and I really don't even think the judge believed it, but because she was so believable in court, she did it. She made it seem very bad. So what happened is after I had another mental breakdown and I went there for the 30 days, then I got out, and then I had to start going to court because she sued me for this lie. And then, all in all, the reason is that I went to jail for 100 days. The reason that I went to jail for 100 days is because I plead guilty, and I only pled guilty is because that's what my father instructed me to do, and that's what my lawyer instructed me to do. My lawyer did not want to fight for me. He did not believe me either. So what I did was, They told me what they had against me, and originally it was no jail time. If I pled guilty, it was no jail time, and I would just get, you know, a slap on the wrist basically. But because she testified against me, her last remarks, I promise you, she had to have had practiced that speech. I'm telling you, she did. It was bravo. It was an Oscar performance, to be honest. But so I got in trouble, and that's the reason I pled guilty, is because that's what I was instructed to do in order to not get a lot of time. Because if I had went to trial, I probably would still be in jail with how she performed in court. I honestly truly believe that. So me pleading guilty was actually a blessing in disguise, believe it or not. So I spent 100 days in jail. And that time that I spent in jail was so needed. It was a time for me to reset, recharge, review, restore, renew. Everything was renewed. And the thing that blessed me the most about the jail time is the women that I met in there and the testimonies that I heard. You know, I thought that I had it bad, but you had to hear some of these women. I had an out date. I knew when I was getting out of jail, because you know, you can write a little slip to the office, and they'll write on the back of that slip of when you get out and any questions or concerns that you have. But that 100 days blessed me. I was closer with my father. My mother and father supported me the whole time I was there. My church family supported me. They would come down and visit me. We would have video visits, and I was in jail before the COVID, so we would have video visits and stuff. But moral of the story, each time I was locked up, it made me so much closer to the Lord. And sometimes God has to snatch you out the fire before you really get in the fire. If that makes any sense. Let me say that one more time. Sometimes he has to snatch you out the fire before you really get in the fire and get burned. So that's exactly what he did for me. And guys, I'm telling you, when you look at some of the things that God brings you through, and you really like think back on that thing, you start to realize, like, God, why do you love me so much? Why do you care about little old me, a person that was locked up for 7 days, a person that was locked up for 14 days, then a person turned around and got locked up for 30 days. And the 30 days I got locked up because I had went to jail. That's what I got locked up for. I didn't commit another crime before I went there for the 30 days. But like I said, I got tied up with the wrong person. It's certain things that I would never trust a person with again because of that person. But it's okay, because like I said, there's always a blessing in the lesson. I'm going to probably say that in every video that I post. There's always a blessing in the lesson. Now, will I like to go to jail again? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I didn't have a bad experience. I didn't. I got closer with the Lord. I sang every night to those women. I read scriptures every night. I got a chance to minister personally to some of the women, because I've always been a woman in the church, but I slipped. I had a mistake just like everybody else does. But at the same time, I own my mistake. That's the difference between me and Southern people, is you have to own your mistake. That's what we talked about in the last video, is mental health awareness. Now, you have to check that video out, because that video is very important too. Because I'm telling you, when you admit that you have a problem and accept it, you're more reluctant. You're not reluctant to getting help, you know. But I'm telling you, God is so amazing. He's so good. And that concludes today's video. May God continue to bless your body, mind, soul, spirit, and finances. My life has been a journey, and not for the weak.